how can one become more practical
In what?
in their life? So if all the questions I just asked you are abstract and essentially meaningless, how does one find meaning?
By looking at the acute events of their life, by looking at the things that they are doing in their life, the things that are most prevalent that they are involved in, most importantly, the motivation behind why they do the things that they do, and to discover if that is a chase for pleasure, if that is a chase to nowhere, or if it's time that is actually spent in a valuable way that might actually lead them somewhere. So it really comes down to the person himself, and not trying to find out where he should or what he should or how he should, but what is it that you want, and what is it that you're doing, and how are you missing the boat? Those are the questions that every person has to ask themselves if they are serious about getting somewhere, wherever that somewhere may be.
Missing the boat, that sounds interesting. This might go into prescriptions, but what are the signs that someone is missing the boat?
Everyone's missing the boat.
So you wrote about something that seems relevant to this, which is that asking ourselves what we want right now. How do I ask myself what I want? And the first thing that shows up isn't what I want, but it's a discovery that goes into what I want. Can you talk more about that?
No one really knows what they want. They know everyone's wants are generally a reaction to a non-want. No one's really searching for happiness, for example. Everyone's searching for an escape from misery. So it really comes down to knowing that you have X number of years left to live, and how many more years you're willing to spend chasing fruitless things, believing nonsense, following prescriptions, and wasting your life. So the most practical thing would be to admit to yourself that you are in fact completely frivolously wasting your life, and that you have been, and how many more months/years are you willing to do so? That would be the most practical person, as opposed to someone who lies and pretends.
And that's what I was going to ask, is what is the main things that gets in the way of somebody realizing that they're wasting their life?
Because that they believe that the following of prescription actually goes somewhere. Therefore, that makes them believe that they're not wasting their life. People are very tied to their beliefs. They equate belief with reality.
So does a search for truth necessarily entail a giving up of all beliefs? What about the beliefs that are not conscious, like unconscious beliefs?
I don't know what that means, first of all. Second of all, just begin with the ones that you believe. So there is no such thing as belief. Someone resorts to belief when they do not know. Either you know or you don't know. And neither one is wrong, but to believe is a cop-out.
Do you have beliefs?
Beliefs come, but they go through a filtering mechanism with the intent to destroy them, because they meet a deep desire to want to know the truth, and therefore they kind of get destroyed by themselves. So when I find myself having an opinion or a belief, it doesn't really satisfy me, because the desire to know the truth is infinitely greater for me than the desire to both hold on to and uphold a belief.
And so has that always been present, or is that something you trained yourself or habituated yourself to?
I don't know, but what does it matter? I don't, like, whatever I do or don't do, what does that matter? How does that in any way have any relevance to your life?
Well, because if I wanted to get to the truth, then is it a condition?
Why do you want to get to the truth?
I have noticed that the closer that, or the more I aim towards the truth, the more life opens up, but that could also be a sense of pleasure seeking as well.
And what's wrong? And what's wrong with pleasure seeking?
That it's an endless process.
So what we have just displayed and demonstrated is another rule that you're trying to follow. And therefore, you turned pleasure seeking into a rule not to break. Therefore, you prescriptionized it.
So it seems impossible. Anything that I do will lead to a prescription.
Yes, all doings are a complete and utter waste of time.
So what you're talking about is not accessible to, it's not, there's nothing that I can do in order to receive it.
That's right. All things happen of their own accord when the requisite degree of sincerity and seriousness arises.
So it goes back to the sincerity and seriousness, but there can't be any prescriptions towards seriousness for sincerity, because if you're acting for prescription, that means that there is no sincerity.
Absolutely. But it's important not to make prescriptions a prescription. Because if you don't follow prescriptions because I say so, you're following a prescription. So it really is about fundamentally understanding, not about following people. It isn't about listening to people. It is about understanding what is the real thing going on here. Why is it that I say no prescriptions without any sense of faith in my words, without any sense of belief or opinion or agreeing? Don't ever agree with me. It's horrible to be agreed with. Don't ever agree with me. Just go into, use your own intelligence as a way to incisively dissect the concept of prescriptions rather than the easy way out, the layman, common man way of just taking something, put it in their pocket, and try to follow it, which is what everyone is doing, and which is what everyone will continue to do forever.
So then it also seems that the world of talking, and as you were saying earlier, that the conversation is useless because we can't get to it. I can't get to it through conversation. I can't pry into it and figure it out, because anything you say will just be a reflection of because words themselves are prescriptions.
Well, I think that your desire to get to it is useless. Because the whole reason you want to get to it is because you want to cross some finish line and put a feather in your cap. You haven't examined the truth enough to know if it's what you really want yet or not. So to ask how to get it is extraordinarily premature. A human being, if he's honest, he can at least be honest with where he stands. Where are you? Are you a prescription follower? Fine. That's honesty. A person might say, I have not yet understood what no prescriptions means. Therefore, I follow meditation instructors, and I do mindfulness, and I read nonsensical books which takes me nowhere. That's fine. And I can be criticized left and right for doing so, and I accept the criticism. But the bottom line is, it's all I know right now. That's honesty. That's sincerity. That is a place to begin. But to go off on a chase and try to add more prescriptions to all the ones that have done nothing for you already is a waste of time. That is the height of dishonesty.
So yes, the dishonesty, there seems to be I am not quite clear where I am. That's an interesting point.
Well, there's no reason that you should be clear where you are, because you have been so busy chasing prescriptions that you never really examined where you are. So why would you know? And you aren't the only one. Just look to your left and to your right in the meditation hall.
Do you ever ask yourself the question, who am I?
No.